Welcome back to the Bo No Show. Appreciate you guys tuning in as always. And today we're going to be talking about one of the other companies I'm part of, the Credit University. A lot of viewers out there and listeners are asking questions, so I'm going to get to these questions and get to these answers right away. First one, what is the Credit University, TCU, all about, and how long have you guys been around? Well, first of all, the Credit University was formed, I say about 8 years ago, 7 years ago. Prior to that, we was Ultimate Credit Smart. As you can see, we big on educating people. Ultimate Credit Smart, the Credit University. Our slogan was get educated now, be smart about it later. We formed these companies, me and my team, including myself, because I was tired of seeing people, go through issues with poor credit, bad credit, not knowing what to do, not direction to take, and not really understanding the value and the benefits of credit. So credit is real big, and we started this company to kind of help inundate and educate people on building their FICO scores, building their credit scores. We also develop our own software, which is called TCU software. And within that software, we have different components where we, show people how to build credit, show people what's Tradelines and what they consist of. Also giving them different avenues and keeping them up to date of what's going on. So our software and our company was formed to kind of help out the individuals, build the individual's credit, show them what it's about, lead them down the path to success, financial freedom, the whole kick and caboodle. And again, that's one of the questions that we got from one of our viewers, and I want to continue on with additional questions. The other question that we have is, how do credit repair works and what is the process? Well, here's a little bit about credit repair. What we do, we challenge inaccurate, unverifiable, negative data that's on your credit. And keep in mind, this is data. All this is about your data. Everything you do is being recorded. Your data, whether you get traffic tickets, apartment credit, all of that is data. Different places hold that data. So our process is to go in, dispute, challenge the inaccurate, unverifiable information that's provided to Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. Now, a lot of people only know about those companies. Those are just some of the companies that actually report the data. They don't generate the data themselves. They get it from other companies such as SageStream, Credit Core, Credit Logic, things of that nature. So these companies will provide that information to Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. They in turn put that information out there. So the process is to complete or dispute the inaccurate, unverifiable information. So that way you can remove that negative data. Over 90% of people out here in America have erroneous data on their credit file, and it's very important to clean that data up, whether you do it or you have a company like us or someone else. The key is to kind of get that data cleaned up, move forward, get your FICO score up. FICO score ranges from around 350 to 850. The key is to get those scores up so you can do what you need to do. I'm gonna jump into the next question from one of our viewers. What is a FICO score? Very good question. FICO stands for Isaac and Company. It's a San Rafael-based company out of California. And what they do, they started this credit system to take all of that data and in turn give you what's called a FICO score. So they developed the concept, the range. And keep in mind, Equifax, Experian, TransUnion also have their own scoring module within their own system. So they use a complex calculation system to determine a score, even on top of what FICO does, So for an example, like your late patterns, collection accounts, any type of primary accounts, authorized use, and I'm gonna talk about that in a second. All of those different things, addresses, whether you stay in a blighted neighborhood or a good neighborhood, those are different things that's compiled in your credit, and that data generates a score. So again, you wanna make sure that data is clean and make sure your data look good. But to kind of reiterate that question, FICO score ranges from 350 to 850, and of course, the closer you are to 850, the better off you are. The closer you are to 350, come see us. Next question. Why is some credit scores different from Credit Karma versus Credit Check Total? Now, this is another good question. I get this a lot. A lot of people say, well, I logged into Credit Karma and I have a 780 credit score. And I logged into Credit Check Total and it's like a 690, which it might not be that big of a difference. But keep in mind, Vantage Score is a different product. These are companies. These companies combine information to sell you credit. Vantage Score was created after FICO decided, or at some point wanted to remove the authorized user concept. They wanted to get rid of the authorized users, right? And it was an outcry. A lot of your lenders, car dealers, a lot of people that pull credit complained about that. And they're like, hey, if people cannot benefit from authorized users, then how are we going to close deals? Because that in turn increase your FICO score. And I'm going to jump into what authorized users are here in a minute after break. But to kind of elaborate more, Vantage Score was invented throughout all this chaos. So it's a lot of chaos going on. And of course, when that transpire and take place, you got people out here thinking. They thinking, well, okay, they may be going to be using a new scoring system. So Vantage Score was thought of. They came about. No one really jumped on board for real. You know, all of your biggest lenders, 90%, 85% of the lenders use FICO score. FICO been around for a long time. They're more, traditional, so to speak. But Vantage Score came, and so then you had your little companies like Credit Karma and other companies, Privacy Guard, these different places where you pull credit. They partnered up and started using a scoring module, which is hence why you have a variety of or difference of credit score. And also keep in mind your score will difference within the major 3 credit bureaus, Equifax, Experian, TransUnion. Why is that? Because they're like Lee's, Churches, and Popeyes. If you guys are familiar with this particular place, these are places that serve chicken. They all serve chicken and sell chicken, but they don't share the same recipe. So Equifax does not necessarily partner up with Experian. Those are 2 different entities, 2 different businesses, and they keep credit scores based on what they have on you. So they might use a different system within the FICO system to generate a score. So that's where you have a variety of credit scores, or a different score on this system, a different score on that system, which a lot of people ask, and that's really, the best way that I can explain it to you. And again, that was a wonderful question from one of my viewers, which again, we get a lot of those questions from the people that's watching, our show. Right now, I got some more good stuff I want to talk to you about, which I'm going to jump into authorized users, piggybacking, all of that good stuff. But we're going to take a minute to hear from our sponsors. So I see you at the break. Thanks again. With all the changes 2020 has made in the business world and in America's financial system, wouldn't you say it's time you become an entrepreneur? Hello, my name is Donnell Bobo. I'm the CEO of the Credit University and the creator of the Bo Knows Show, where I discuss the world of personal credit and business financing. I've been in the credit business and credit industry for a little over 20 years, helping build personal credit, develop business solutions, and helping you find funding. As a certified credit and business analyst, we at the Credit University can help you understand how to build credit, start and build an existing business, solve credit problems, set new objectives and substantial goals, and best of all, help you receive funding so you can realize your vision. To learn more about how we can help you achieve your life goal, our contact information is on the screen. Now I want to invite you to join me on the Bo Knows Show and allow me to take you on a wonderful journey of fun and financing. And remember, get educated now and be smart about it later. Welcome back. I appreciate you guys staying tuned. Like I said, I have some good information real quick I want to break down about Tradelines. So thanks again for staying on board and staying tuned. I heard a lot about Tradelines, which again, this is one of our viewers that's mentioned this. We heard a lot about Tradelines. What are they and how can they help increase or build your credit? Another awesome question. Well, Tradelines, which is an old term, is piggybacking. Piggybacking actually used to be a concept that, say if the husband had a good credit card and the wife didn't, you can put your wife on your credit card. She would now in turn have that same data on her profile after that statement day closed. So for an example, if I have a $10,000 credit card, 10 years old, it's impeccable payment record, I add my fiance or wife on the card, then now her credit has that $10,000 credit line on there, impeccable payment pattern, and that in turn helps her FICO score. So what that does, it gives lender a better objective to looking at you and deciding whether to extend credit to you. And in some cases in the past, what that particular trade line would do, it would get you approved for a higher limit versus without having a trade line. So say if you didn't have any credit on your file at all, right? You cleaned your credit up or you never done anything, how can someone judge you? How can they come and say, well, yeah, you make a good candidate for, you know, a credit card with a $5,000 limit? I have no way of determining who you are. The old days, it was kind of determined on what they call the 3 C's: character, collateral, and capability. You know, thanks to technology, a lot of it has changed and they have a lot more data to look at you from. But trade lines is basically piggybacking off someone else's good credit and using that data to help build your credit. And that's what the biggest, and I mentioned to this on my last question, that's what the outcry and the fuss was about. Because a lot of people thought that to be unfair. You know, that's not fair for you to have poor credit or no credit or bad credit be added on someone's trade line, and voila, you got a 700 FICO score. So a lot of people say that's not fair at all, but it's not against the law. It's the system. So there was a big outcry. And just to kind of piggyback on that question, what FICO did, FICO pulled out of the equation and said, look, we're going to put the burden on the credit card companies, which is why, and some people who are familiar with authorized users, you guys are familiar with this, why they're closing credit cards down, because you're adding people, too much activity, too many users, et cetera, taking them on and off every 30 days. It's a big mess, chaos, but that's the reason why this other scoring system came about, and that's the reason why FICO kind of pulled back and why there was a big outcry. Because just imagine if I'm a car dealer and I'm up here at the Mercedes-Benz and I sell cars based on people having good credit, that's going to hurt my sales. You know, I love making commissions, so I'm looking for people with credit. I'm looking for ways to get people approved, and that's really it. Next question. What happens when I'm no longer on a trade line? Very good question again. That particular question's been asked a lot. Like a lot of people state, even in our program. So if this trade line is off my credit, how would that impact my FICO score? Now here's how it helps your FICO score. Let's look at that first. Say you have a $10,000 credit card, right? And it's maxed out $10,000. So that puts your utilization at what? 100%. So now say you add a trade line that is $10,000, right? Zero balance. What is your utilization now? 50%. So that particular card dropped your utilization, which in turn will bring your score up. So now when we remove you off that card, as long as your utilization has not been paid down, you know, then that utilization is going to go back up. So that will drop your score just a little bit, meaning you had 100% utilization because your $10,000 credit card was maxed out. You put a $10,000 authorized use on there. Now you went up to $20,000 in available credit, $10,000 in your balance, which is your original balance from your primary card. That brought you down to 50% utilization. So when it comes off, that line closes and then your utilization go back up. So that can affect you. But the key is, while you have that on your credit, go apply for a credit card. You know, figure out where you can go, get that amount of credit, so when that trade line does close, now you're still in good shape. But let's talk about the history. So people say, well, what about the history of the card? Good question on there. The history doesn't disappear. So if you log back into your credit, say you with Credit Check Total or Credit Karma or whatever, and you see this particular trade line, it'll either say open or close. If the account is open, you're still getting credit for that trade line and that authorized user that's kind of changing your utilization from 50 to 100. But if the card is closed, the history is still there. So if you got a 10-year card, you still get credit for that 10-year card on your credit profile. FICO likes history. Great question. Very good question. Next question. Why is some people with a 750 or so FICO score still get denied? That's another good question. And the simplest answer to that is you have a thin file. You know, nowadays, banks are not just looking at your FICO score. A lot of people come and say, well, my credit score is good. I should be able to get this, blah, blah, blah. I get a credit card, 10, 15, 20,000. I mean, again, character, collateral, capability. All you have is a 750 credit score. They don't know you from Tom or Harry, right? So what they do, they look into your file. So if it's nothing there, that is good, but you still don't have any reported credit. You don't have any primary accounts. You don't have a home loan. You have no way of showing them that you're making payments and your payments are being paid on time. before the due date, not after the due date, because they record all that. So it's a lot of information now due to technology that these companies are able to look into and see. So a FICO score would not just do it. So for those of you that got a 750 or higher FICO score and wondering why you're getting denied, you got to understand it's still a process. Banks have bank rating, bank scores. It's a lot of other components that go into having a good credit score. It's not just the FICO score, but it's more so a credit file. And it's things that you can do for that. And keep in mind, there is a process. We call this administrative remedies, right? You don't want to go to, say, Discover and apply for a credit card when you don't have nothing on your credit. The best place to go, and I'm going to throw this out there for you guys, is Capital One. Capital One would be a first initial place to go to build credit because they don't care about you not having any accounts or active accounts in the beginning stages, but other companies do. So knowing who want what is critical. And that's what we focus on over here at TCU. We know who pulled from where, what they're looking for, how many inquiries, all of that good stuff matters. But again, that was a great question from one of our listeners. I appreciate that question. I'm gonna jump into last but not least. How long does it normally take to build credit after someone enrolled with your company? That's another good question. Now, it really depends. It all bottoms down to, what that individual was going through. For an example, if that person was a victim of identity theft, if that person needed any freeze or locks on their report, that person could have perhaps had other scenarios going on. So it's variable, or it's different factors that varies when it comes to the process. We have aggressive programs. We have programs that's kind of a monthly basis. So it kind of depends on what you pick. But it can range anywhere from 3 to 6 months, ideally. Aggressive programs consist of if you were a victim of identity theft. Now we got to go through that process. You got to file police reports, etc., file an FTC complaint. So it all varies based on that person's scenario. And then also it matters what you have on your credit. Depends on what you have on there. Do you have, slow pays, collections, bankruptcies, charge-offs? A lot of this stuff that's in public records can be a little bit more challenging and aggressive. And if it's new items, that could take time as well. So keep in mind, it just depends on what's on your credit, and also how well you manage your credit after you enroll. A lot of people jump on board and 30 days later, they got a new collection account from a medical company, or they got a new slow pay. So you got to exercise due diligence on your behalf too, and make sure you're doing the right thing when repairing your credit. But again, the program can range anywhere from 3 to 6 months. Longer if you're not in compliant with making sure your credit is doing what it needs to do. So that kind of depends on the customer and what they're going through. Again, I'd like to thank you all for tuning in to Bo Knows Show. Today's discussion was about TCU, the Credit University. Get educated now, be smart about it later. That's our slogan, because we're real big and believe in education. And I want to thank you guys for tuning in, and let's hear a word from our sponsor. Again, Bo knows who knows. If I don't know, I know somebody that do. With all the changes 2020 has made in the business world and in America's financial system, wouldn't you say it's time you become an entrepreneur? Hello, my name is Donnell Bobo. I'm the CEO of the Credit University and the creator of the Bo Knows Show, where I discuss the world of personal credit and business financing. I've been in the credit business and credit industry for a little over 20 years, helping build personal credit, develop business solutions, and helping you find funding. As a certified credit and business analyst, we at the Credit University can help you understand how to build credit, start and build an existing business, solve credit problems, set new objectives and substantial goals, and best of all, help you receive funding so you can realize your vision. To learn more about how we can help you achieve your life goal, our contact information is on the screen. Now I want to invite you to join me on the Bo Knows Show and allow me to take you on a wonderful journey of fun and financing. And remember, get educated now and be smart about it later. Bo know business, Bo know credit, Bo know surviving during the pandemic. Bo know real estate, stocks, and bonds. With step-by-step, we building 101. Bo know software and systems too, showing startups and entrepreneurs what to do. Bo know people bringing special guests. Bo know tune into the show for the rest.